and you'll see why when we get there. Alright, so on this first menu, because we're getting started, they're going to come in here and perform our first equipment glitch and some basic menuing. They're going to change the memory cursor. They're going to pick up a hammer, and they're going to use the hammer to glitch themselves a couple sets of knight's armors. And they're going to glitch 5 sets, 4, 1 for each character to equip, and then 1 to sell to fund most of our run. Now, the way the equipment glitch works is kind of neat. Every weapon and every other kind of equipable item has a internal designation item number. So you have weapons, and then you have anything else. So whether it be a shield, a helmet, gloves, or breastplate, they're all in kind of the master armor list. What that allows us to do with the memory cursor is we can trick the game to using the item ID from a weapon and placing that same ID in the armor slot of a different character by paging over while selecting our item list. So let's say that the hammer is weapon number 1 and the knight's armor is armor number 1. When we page over, it brings up the hammer ID in the armor list and lets us get the knight's armor. We're going to be using this a number of times throughout the run to get equipment we're either not supposed to have yet or not supposed to have at all. We can actually equip items in the wrong slots and on the wrong characters using this glitch. So the knight's armor basically makes us immune to non-critical attacks and non-magic attacks. So we're going to be virtually invulnerable here at the beginning. But more importantly, we're going to come over here, we're going to get in the Chaos Shrine, and we're going to get ourselves the Judgment Staff glitch from the leather cap. The Judgment Staff is not only stronger than any sword we get later at this point in the game, it allows us to cast Flare, the most powerful black magic spell, for free as many times as we want. We're going to be taking advantage of that in a few minutes. It's very, very broken. The item is usually only attainable in a bonus dungeon later on in the game, kind of a late game super boss reward. So it really breaks, especially group encounters later on. So the first thing we're going to do is going to attack Garland, defeat him. Anything under 3 minutes is pretty good for a race pace for Garland, so it looks like both of our runners are doing pretty good here. So we're going to go back to the castle here. The prince is going to talk to us, and there's a minor time save here. If we walk away, we get called back and have to walk up to the princess as she gives the loot. If we walk straight to her, it saves a text box and the walking animation. So once we get the loot, we're going to go outside to one of the longer cutscenes of the game here. So when they re-released this game, they added a few cutscenes, like they wanted to add some more story elements to the game, and it almost feels like, they did it for a couple spots at the very beginning and then kind of gave up on it. So at the beginning of the game, you'll have a few of these little scenes in the first 20 minutes or so, little cutscenes, but after that, it's only going to be showing very, very minor cutscene segments. All right, well, we're walking our way over to the next village. Now, talk a bit about the different encounter tiles we've run across on the world map. every kind of tile has a different encounter rate, so the odds of running against a group of enemies. We like walking on swamp. Swamp actually has a very low encounter rate. Grass is higher, and forest is very high. So we don't like walking in forest, and we have to do a lot of it early on here. And we want to avoid encounters that have fast enemies because they're more difficult to successfully escape from, and the faster enemies are more likely to go earlier in the turn order. So even if you run on the first attempt, the enemies may get several attacks and waste time. Specifically, we really don't like running into wolves. Now, Seiya's reached Provokio over here, so he's going to come talk to this pirate captain. And we're going to fight some pirates. And we're going to get to see the first use of the Judgment Staff here. And that's the Judgment Staff. And pretty much any group of more than 4 enemies in the game, we're going to use that technique. That's the only time we actually have scripted to always use it in the game. Hopefully we never have to deal with that many enemies at once again in a battle that we can't escape from. But it's very unlikely that we'll be able to avoid using it in the future. So now Seiya's got the boat. The boat is kind of a mixed blessing. It moves very quickly, has a low encounter rate, but there are a few encounters you can run across that are difficult to escape from. For instance, this shark, I call it the lone shark, because there's one of them, but it also sounds like a lone shark. But he can be difficult to escape from, and Sahagins are difficult to escape from, and we really don't like the Sahagin Big Eye encounters because there's some long animations. And as we see right here, Seiya fails to escape from the Shark Sahagin Chief battle. So Leonis might have a chance to take the lead here, simply because of one bad encounter. It looks like that's what he's doing. And you can do this point at this little item trip right here at several points throughout the run. But what Leonis is doing is he's buying some gold needles here. That's just a safety strat for later on the run if we get ourselves into a encounter where we get petrified. Now Seiya is going to be picking those gold needles up later, looks like. So Leonis is actually a little further ahead than it appears due to him having already gone to visit the elf village. Now we're working our way over to the Marsh Cave. So the beginning of this game has kind of this big Master Fetch quest. Our goal is to blow up an island, blow up a canal in a little thin piece of land so we can access the main part of the game world. In order to do that, we need to take some nitro powder to some dwarves. In order to get the nitro powder, we have to get it out of a chest that's sealed by an item called the Mystic Key. The Mystic Key is held by the Elf Prince, who is currently in a coma, can only be woken with an item called the Jolt Tonic, which is held by a witch named Matoya. But she can't see right now because she's missing her crystal eye. That is actually held by Astos, the Dark Elf Prince. He will only reveal himself if we deliver him an item called the Crown. The Crown is here in the Marsh Cave. So that's what we're here for. So I explained it all backwards, now we're going to go forward with it. The Marsh Cave has a very low encounter rate. Occasionally we'll get really lucky and have no encounters at all in it. But there can be a few bad encounters in it. And we're going to be running across what we call spike tiles. It is a tile where there's always an encounter. In this case, it's always a group of Pisco Demons. It can be just 1 or 2. It can be 5 or 6. So Leonis only gets 2 of them, and they don't critical him. That's good. They can get critical hits here and kill your party members, because our high defense with our armor, critical hits ignores that high defense. So it looks like our races are pretty much neck and neck here at the Crown Split. But, last year, remember in the tournament, Uj Sigma, the current world record holder, was working hard at this game. He was doing great, and then he got to that fight, and there were 4 enemies, and he had 4 critical attacks, just wiped his whole party suddenly. It's a very rare death, but it can happen. So now we have the crown, we're on our way to visit Astos, the Dark Elf Prince. And runners are definitely still pretty close to each other, and both on pretty decent paces. If you can get to Astos under 12 minutes, that's pretty good for a race. Euros is asking what happens with the party wipe. If you get party wiped in this, if you don't have a save, that's game over. So there are several spots in the game where we will be doing safety saves. But the nice thing about this, since it was designed as a mobile game, you can save anywhere. So, like if you have a dangerous boss fight, you can walk right up to the boss and save before speaking to him. So here in the Astos fight, we're hoping he doesn't cast Death. If he does cast Death, we want him to cast it on either our warrior or our thief, because our mages will do more damage with their judgment staffs to guarantee usually a 1-cycle fight. Not always, but usually. But more importantly, actually, we have a grind session later that we would prefer to have our party members, our mages, both having never died or being petrified at any point in the game, so that they level together. It's going to be especially important actually on Seiya's screen, because when he's looking at who's leveled up when, everyone's named Leo. Yeah, this is a very close, this is a very close race so far, as you're saying, Cyclone. The lead actually is a little bit more than a second because of that village to the elf village. Now we're doing some backtracking to get to the ship so that we can go visit Matoya now that we have that crown. Now that we have that crystal eye, so that we can get the Jolt tonic. And Seiya unfortunately runs into the single shark. He gets away though, that's good. Leonis runs to a shark, a Sahagin, and a Big Eye. This could be a frustrating one for him. Meanwhile, Seiya runs into a Sahagin Big Eye encounter. So both our runners currently on kind of annoying encounters. So Leonis goes ahead. Once he gets two of his party members paralyzed, he goes ahead and uses the Judgment Staff. Paralysis is a very, very big threat in this game. Earlier today, Cruel lost about 5 minutes to a bad paralysis encounter. If your entire party gets paralyzed, we call it being paralocked or stun-locked. When you're paralocked, the enemies can keep applying paralysis every time they attack you, and you could lose just minutes waiting, hoping that character gets a turn. It can be very frustrating because suddenly they come out paralysis, but you give them a command to use the Judgment Staff, and they might get paralyzed again before they have a chance to set it off. It's very, very frustrating, and can cost you a lot of time. The worst I ever had it personally, I got paralocked, lost about 2 minutes, got out of the paralysis, got paralocked the next battle, and never got out of it. They managed to wipe my party 1 hit point at a time. So Seiya's got the Jolt Tonic, and he's getting kind of trolled by this broom here. Alright, lose a little time to that, but he's on his way back out. So with that village visit that Leonis has already made, the runners should be very close to each other now. You might have noticed that Seiya parked kind of a long way off in that dock there. The reason we sometimes do that is even though the ship moves faster, when you're walking on the dock tiles, there's a 0% encounter rate. So if you get off the boat a little early and walk along those dock tiles, you know you won't get an encounter. Whereas on the boat, you probably won't. On a perfect world, it would be quicker to take the boat, but it might be worth it just to risk not getting that encounter. So Seiya is dropping off the Jolt Tonic here with a healer who's going to wake up the Elf Prince so we can get the Mystic Key. And then we're going to do a neat little time save. We need to go to the top right of the castle. It's kind of a walk over there from here. So we're actually going to walk out of the castle on the left and back into it to get kind of warp to the middle of the castle again at the front, save us some time. So using that Mystic Key, we just picked up the Mithril Hammer. We're going to use that for our next item glitch. The Mithril Hammer can be changed into the Thieves Armlet. The Thieves Armlet gives us a higher agility stat. Agility is what gives us chances to run in battle and a chance to go earlier in the turn order versus the enemies. So by equipping it on 3 different armor slots, we are able to massively increase our agility to make it easier to escape from random battles. Most of our equipment glitching in the game will be to increase our agility scores. So Seiya's doing his trip here to sell the knight's armors and pick up some gold needles. Now, the thing about the equipment glitch is the item that you're using to initiate the glitch, so for instance, the Mithril Hammer in that last menu, has to be equipable by the character that's initiating the glitch. So in that case, only the warrior and the white mage could equip the Mithril Hammer, so they had to initiate the glitches to either side of them. That's very important because that determines why we have one of our party members. We have an equipment glitch coming up shortly that we need the steel gloves for to get the most powerful weapon in the game. But these steel gloves can only be equipped at this point in the game by the warrior. So the entire reason we have him in the party is for a single equipment glitch. Because our highest damage dealing party member, once we have all the same weapons, is our thief. He'll be a ninja later in the game, but our thief, because he gets the most attacks in per turn. He has basically higher hit rate. Whenever you see we attack an enemy, it might say 3, 5, 4, whatever, how many hits we get as a multiplier. The thief tends to have higher multipliers, but the normal game, he has weaker weapons. Since we can give him whatever weapon we want, he actually is the highest damage dealing party member in the game. So Seiya's reached Mount Duergar, where we're going to go and visit the dwarves and give them the nitro powder to finally open up our path to the rest of the game world and really kind of get the game going. So we can go fight our 4 fiends of earth, fire, water, and wind. So get another brief little cutscene here, just showing the canal being opened. Alright, and Seiya's back at it. So now we're going to go grab the boat and head west of the canal. And we're going to go visit the town of Melman, where we're going to do the most important item menu in the game. Now, Cyclone is they're 35, 40 seconds, that range and separation. That means nothing at this point in the game. You can have a 5-minute lead and lose it. In fact, that happened with me and Leonis a few weeks ago. Yeah, FF1 does have magic RNG. It can be very frustrating sometimes when you're getting the bad RNG, especially if you're trying to grind out PBs. But it's part of what makes this a pretty fun race game, because, you know, you can be up against somebody who has a PB that's 10 or 12 minutes faster than you, and just you get the good roll of the dice, and you have a chance of beating them. So the skill ceiling isn't quite as harsh. So now both runners are in Melman. It looks like the ocean encounter brought us back into very close. So we're buying the steel glove that can only be equipped by the warrior. He's going to be using that to create the judgment staff, rather the barbarian sword. The barbarian sword is the most powerful weapon in the game by more than twofold. It also gives you a strength boost, and it effectively ends up being about triple strength of anything else you can get. And you can usually only get that weapon by defeating the hardest version of the hardest post-game super dungeon super boss called Chronodia. Very, very difficult to get, and you'll only get it at basically after the point you wouldn't need it anymore. So the fact that we're able to get it right here, in the first 25 minutes of the run, really opens things up. Now Leon's got some bad luck here with the shadows. The shadows got a preemptive on him, rather they got a ambush on him, so they all get to go ahead of time. The shadow encounter, there is a 7 in 8 chance of getting a preemptive where you can instantly run, and a 1 in 8 of them ambushing you. So he got the worst luck there. So Leo's is saving for the Earth Cavern because things can go wrong here. Most of us save when we get to the 3rd floor because that's where things start to go wrong. His first 2 floors look to be going very well for Leonis. Now this 3rd floor, a lot of things can happen. You can run across cockatrices, which have a chance of paralyzing your party, petrifying your party members. You can run across undead enemies who can paralyze your party members, and it's also the first place where we can run to unrunnable random encounters with Episcopal units, meaning we're not allowed to run from them. So Leonis gets a white gas encounter. Fortunately, he escapes. That is one of them that can get in trouble. And then Seiya gets the cockatrice, but he gets a preemptive, so he's able to instantly run. So this floor is just kind of one of those dumpster fires that we don't like. A lot of things can go bad here. Usually doesn't, but Seiya right there has had 2 people petrified, 3, and he is wiped by petrification. That is bad. I didn't see if he did a safety save. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it looks like he may not have saved. Oh my goodness. Leonis is dealing with the Pisco demons here. There's an unrunnable encounter, so we're going to go and Judgment Staff them. Yeah, that's a 25-minute loss. That is very unfortunate. Yeah, I know exactly how he feels. At my race against Seiya last week, I did the same thing in a different dungeon. I forgot to save and got wiped out by cockatrices. Leonis over there showing off the power of the Barbarian Sword and one-shotting the boss. So we actually need to go past that vampire room to get to the first fiend, Lich. Unfortunately, we need an item called the Earth Rod to get past there. To get the Earth Rod, we had to get that Star Ruby that was in the chest right there. So now we have to do a big backtracking section back through the Cavern of Earth. And Leonis gets himself into a bad spot with cockatrices with an ambush. He does have a safety save. I might have gone ahead and used a Judgment Staff there instead of running. But he does escape. So you gotta go in the menu here and use a gold needle to save his Black Mage. But this kind of Final Fantasy 1 in a nutshell. You can have a great run going and it can just decide to take it from you. I believe this is the second time in this double elimination bracket that this happened. It's at least the second, because the first time it happened to me. We want to head off to Seiya for having an amazing tournament. His last two races went spectacularly well. He actually was 1 second off the world record last week. Now, I know you're saying that Seiya, we hardly knew you, but believe me, in the community, we definitely know who Seiya is. We know him well. We love racing him. We love watching him race. He was, but this is just kind of the upset that we've been having a lot in this tournament where, some of our veteran runners that we, expect to see in the finals, well, there's just so many that could be there that we're going to have some people that deserve to move on that have bad luck and get eliminated. Seiya was on a lot of people's short list for who they expected to win the tournament, but he's done a great job, and Leonis has done a great job. He stayed in the winner's bracket for a long time. Yeah, he's kind of outperforming a lot of initial expectations, having a great tournament, and this race could have gone either way without that. So don't let what happened here in any way diminish how well Leonis is playing. So Leonis just picked up the Earth Rod, so now he can work his way back to the Cavern of Earth and go down to fight Lich. And Leonis gets an unfortunate ambush from ghouls and gas. This is one of the encounters that can paralock your party. But looks like they're mostly attacking the warrior, which is good. And you may notice watching this, the warrior seems to get attacked more than anybody else. And that is true, he does. The character in the first slot in the party will receive 50% of attacks. The character in the second slot will receive 25% of the attacks, and the characters in the third and fourth slot will be attacked at 12.5% of the time. So our party order is strategic not only for using the equipment glitch, but to make sure that our strongest character is the one that's being attacked the most. So paralocks are scary, but they're kind of rare simply because a lot of the enemies, even once the warrior is paralyzed, keep attacking the warrior. The scary thing about petrification is not only is it instant death effectively, but petrification, whenever a party member is petrified, the enemies quit attacking that party member. That's why you can have 5 cockatrices wipe out all 4 party members, because they just keep petrifying and working their way down the list. Yes, safety saves are fairly quick. They take a little longer on console. They also take a little longer if you're overwriting an existing save. I've gotten to where now when I'm doing a race, I actually go through and make sure to delete a bunch of saves to remove some prompts when I'm doing saves. And the reason they take long on console is if you're running the console version, you're having to do a safety save on a memory stick, and the memory stick access speed for the game saves is not as quick as the emulator's access to the hard drive. Nikki, you're right. A lot of people should consider safety saving the ice cave. I did not do that last week in my race against Seya, and the exact same thing happened to me. So yeah, the Cavern of Ice is definitely going to be a spot where you would want to safety save. That actually is the most common dungeon to get party wiped. So Leonis now, they have the Earth Rod, can get past this plate and head on down toward Lich. Leonis has unfortunately had some very high encounter rates in this cavern, but he is making his way there. We get into Lich. We need to do a safety save usually right before the Lich battle, and he is doing that, I assume. Yeah. Lich has a chance of casting the spell Blizzara on your party. Our characters are extremely underleveled because we just use the equipment and running from battles, but we have no magic defense whatsoever and are low level. So if he casts Blizzara, our party gets wiped. There's really no avoiding it. Let's see how much damage it takes to kill this boss. 2 hits. Barbarian Sword. It is really, really overpowered. If both runners are wiped, they would typically start over if neither had saved, but because the runners, at least one of the runners, does need to finish. But Leonis has been safety saving, so he would just go back to his most recent save. And both runners wiping is something that does happen sometimes. So anytime we defeat a fiend, we have one of those little video sequences kind of showing the unlocking of a bonus dungeon. We're not going to visit those bonus dungeons. They're pretty neat, but the cool equipment you get from them, we get for free anyway with the equipment glitch. But if you ever wanted to go fight Siegfried from Final Fantasy V and hear the Battle on the Bridge theme, or you want to fight the Phantom Train from Final Fantasy VI within Final Fantasy I, you can do that in these bonus dungeons. So now that we've defeated Lich, we can go to the Crescent Lake Village. In that village, there's a number of things we're going to be doing. We're going to be picking up our ethers to fill up our magic meters later in the run, as the most convenient place to get them. We're also going to be doing another equipment glitch to put the black garb on our thief and our black mage, which will increase our odds of running once again. And we're also going to be picking up a plot item called the canoe, which allows us to travel over the shallow water, which is the light-colored water you'll see every now and then in the game. We need that in order to get to the ice cavern. Usually, in the intended order of the game, you would actually go fight Merilith, the next fiend, after getting it. But since we are so overpowered with our equipment, we can actually kind of skip ahead, go to the Cavern of Ice, and get the airship early to speed things up. Now, you might or might not have noticed that so far in the game, we've actually been keeping our warrior and our thief kind of artificially low on health. We've been healing up if we needed to our mages, but our warrior and thief, we've actually been keeping under about 70 or 80 hit points. That's because we actually need them to die in a little while to a certain battle, so that we can do a grinding session for our mages so we can learn some spells. So Leonis picked up the canoe, so now we can move across shallow water. Now, getting the canoe does require you to defeat Lich first. It's a flag that the guy will not give you that canoe until you defeated Lich. Otherwise, we actually would have come here immediately after visiting Melman to get the Barbarian Sword, so that we could save a lot of time traveling and we could fight Lich later in the game. So Leonis is working his way toward the Cavern of Ice. When we try to save before we go in there, if you forget to, like I did, it's very, very risky. There's lots of encounters there that can wipe your party. It is easily the most dangerous section of the game for us. We have unrunnable encounters in the White Dragons, rather not the White Dragons, the Winter Wolves and Ice Gigas battles, and in Pisco Demons. We have White Dragons that can party wipe you. We have Dark Wizards that can party wipe you. We have Cockatrices that can party wipe you. We have lots of dangerous encounters. Mind Flayers, forgot Mind Flayers. They can paralyze you and party wipe you. And with lots of undead enemies that can paralyze you, this section can just be really difficult. So this Dark Wizard battle, if that had been an ambush, they could have all cast Faraga and killed everybody in the party. So Leonis goes ahead and just uses the Judgment Staff to get out of that battle. So we really don't like Spectres. Spectres are hard to run from. And they also can paralyze your party members. And as far as running goes, sometimes your party members have more trouble than running than other run-throughs. It's kind of time to talk a little bit about how leveling works in this game. You have lots of basic stats: strength, agility, hit points, magic points, that go up every time you level. But there's some randomness in the rolls and how much they actually increase. And if your agility doesn't increase much, you're going to have more trouble running in the game for all your party members. And it looks like Leonis does not have a great agility party because they're having trouble running from these Spectres. The other thing that we're going to need to keep a look out for is our hit point pools. Specifically, our Black Mage and our Ninja have a very, very good chance, in fact, most likely will not have enough hit points when we reach the final boss to survive his bigger attacks. So we're going to have to get a safety item to temporarily boost their hit points. But we're hoping we won't need to use it and save ourselves a turn in the final battle. So these Pisco Demons are unrunnable, so we're just going to Judgment Staff them straight away. Fortunately, our Black Mage is faster than the Pisco Demon, so we're able to just get through that fairly quickly. Alright, so here we're going to be doing a quick menu, healing up our mages, and we're going into a spike encounter. The Evil Eye is always located here. The Evil Eye gives a lot of experience, and we got lucky the first turn he cast Thundara. That's why we've been keeping our Warrior and Thieves hit points low. We wanted them to die there, so we could double the experience gathered by our mages. We're also going to pick up the Levistone in case we misstep and fall here. We're probably also going to go ahead and heal our mages here just to be safe, in case the Evil Eye gets a turn ahead of us. Now we're just going to repeatedly attack the Evil Eye until all of our mages are at level 18, then one more battle on top of that. So it's a pretty short grind, definitely the most efficient place to do it. So he's opened the menu there just to see what level he was at, and then since neither of the mages ever died, you can just count level ups here. I'm trying to remember, did one of them get petrified earlier? If he did, then they might be a little off. I think he escaped from that battle. The reason we're doing level 18 plus 1 battle is we need them to be level 19 at the point where we're going to be buying spells. If we get to 18 plus 1 battle, the required fights between now and then will get us to level 19. So now we've finished the grind, we're going to go ahead and heal everybody up, give ethers to our mages, and drop on out the floor, and work our way back out of the Cavern of Ice. Also, the safety save there, because every now and then this can become a paralocking ambush. Leonis is being very careful in this cavern because he has wiped in it in a race before. So now we have the Levistone. We're going to be continuing our kind of off-sequence from intended section of the game here. We're going to go get ourselves an airship before we even fight our second fiend. Alrighty, and now Leonis is going to work his way down toward the Citadel of Trials. We're going to get ourselves the stuff we need for an upgrade later in the game. Alrighty, and bear with me, my RTMP stream is frozen here for a second. I'm trying to get the window back. Alright, I'm back. So Leo's unfortunately in a Sphinx encounter. The Sphinx isn't overly dangerous, it can just be hard to run from. The dangerous encounter out here is the Sandworm, which can cast Earthquake and one-shot kill your entire party. So the reason we're coming to the Citadel Trials, we used to skip the class upgrades in this game. Then we realized the Citadel Trials, in addition to giving you what you need to upgrade your classes, also gives you opportunity to get a couple of items we can use in the equipment glitch. Specifically the healing staff and the gauntlets, which we can morph into the lordly robes and the golden staff respectively, which will allow us to heal for a great deal more later in the game. And our white mage only has to be level 19 instead of level 33 for the required spells. If that teleporter mage looks confusing, it's very easy. If you have an option of 2 teleporters, take the bottom one. Leonis runs into some mind flayers, very dangerous enemies. And they can cast this Mind Blast spell that has the chance of paralyzing any party members. Oh, it gets 3 of them there. And their physical attack has a chance to cast instant death. So, and we are paralocked. This is looking scary. So what we're just hoping happens is one of his characters gets an opportunity to act, and he's going to go ahead and judgment stab him. And as bad as those mind flayers are, I believe, and I think Fies will confirm this, I think they're actually even worse in Final Fantasy 1 NES. So the nightmares you technically can run from, but it's very difficult to run from them at this point in the game until we get some better running equipment. So we just go ahead and fight them, and we count them in the experience route for our party. And because we got that healing staff, we did have to fight those nightmare spike tiles twice, because we had to walk through the same square twice. But totally worth it for getting that healing staff. The Lordly Robes really improved the White Mage at the end parts of the game. And go to the left over here, we're going to pick up our gauntlets, then we're going to work our way toward the end of the dungeon, pick up the Rat's Tail, which we need for class upgrades, and then exit the Citadel. So these dragon zombies are the last required fight before we do our class upgrades, and both of our mages should now be level 19 or higher. We had a few battles we had to fight, like the mind flayers, so we should be over level 19 very easily at this point. So now we're doing this long walk back to the airship. It's almost a little trolly the way they did the airship in this game. Is you finally get this great airship that gives you 0 encounters when you're using it, but you always have to park it so far from anywhere you want to go. You can never land right next to where you want to go. It was a new area. Except for Gaia. You can land next to Gaia. Now we're going to go visit the Dragon Caves and visit Bahamut, our favorite Dragon King. We present him with the Rat's Tail we picked in the Citadel Trials. He will give us our class upgrades. So instead of a warrior, thief, white mage, and black mage, we're now going to have a knight, a ninja, a white wizard, and a black wizard. That will allow the ninja to equip some new items and just to have generally improved stats. Also, the ninja is able to cast some black magic spells. We're not going to be getting any for it, though. Similar, our warrior's going to could learn some white magic spells. Not going to learn any of those. We're also going to go ahead and swing by the couple of villages at this point and learn some spells for our white and black mage. There's 3 spells we use in this game. All of them are very important. Healara is a full party weak heal that we pick up in Melman here. in a second. It is not a very powerful healing spell, but with the equipment glitch, we're going to be giving the white mage some items that make it powerful enough to let us survive the final boss fight, with only having to get her to level 19. Then we're also going to go learn Teleport for the black mage here. Teleport works a little different than Exit or Warp that you might know from this and later Final Fantasy games. Instead of taking you straight to the world map, it actually takes you to the previous floor you were on, or previous zone you were in within a dungeon or village. If you're in the kind of the basic, the first floor, or just the outer part of the village, it will then take you to the world map. So we'll use it for both purposes in this run. We're also going to learn Haste for the Black Mage, which is very different than in later Final Fantasy games. This game doesn't have the active time battle system. It's a little closer to Dungeons and Dragons in its implementation sometimes. What it will allow us to do is double the number of hits we get in on attack. Like we said earlier, sometimes you see 3, 5, 7 hits above a character's head when they do an attack. Haste doubles that number. So it effectively doubles our physical attack strength. We'll be using that on 2 boss fights later in the game. So we're walking on these lava tiles. You may think, well, that's kind of silly. You're going to get hurt doing that. And yeah, you do get hurt. You take 1 hit point of damage to your entire party every time you walk on one. But there are 0 encounters on lava tiles. So it's worth it just to walk on the lava tiles and then stop and heal midway through the dungeon in case you get ambushed by something like a fire hydra or a hellhound that can cast fire on the whole party. Because if you're all at 1 hit point, that's a bad thing. So we're going to come fight Merilith here. See very few encounters in this dungeon because we were stuck to those lava tiles. It actually has one of the higher encounter rates. We got a little lucky there, actually. I would have healed before the Merilith fight. She can cast Faraga, and she may not have had the hit. Leos may not have had the hit points to tank that, so that was a little risky. Here we're watching the Hellfire Chasm entrance being opened up. Once again, we're not going to be visiting any of these bonus dungeons. Now Leonis is going to go visit the Desert Caravan. The Desert Caravan has 2 items we're going to be getting. One is the Fairy Bottle, which is a plot item we're required in order to get to the next dungeon. We're also going to be buying a number of Giant's Tonics. We need 2 of them, most likely. We grab 11 just because that's quicker than grabbing 2. Giant's Tonics allow us to increase our hit point pool by 200 for the duration of 1 battle. So our ninja and our black mage, if they have insufficient hit points from the final battle, will use the first turn increasing their hit point pools. So we just released that ferry here in the village of Gaia, and now we're going to go visit the ferry. We're going to pick up an item called the Oxy Ale, which is a drink that allows you to breathe underwater and survive the next dungeons, so you'll be underwater the entire time. As a professional dive master in my spare time, I would like to point out the fact that drinking any kind of ale before scuba diving is unsafe. Please don't do that in real life. But in Final Fantasy, it's how you get by. So now that we have the Oxyel, we can go visit Kraken in the Sunken Shrine. So we're gonna work our way over to the village here, so we can go rescue the mermaids, who we will actually completely ignore once we're in there. So the Sunken Shrine, there's not many really dangerous fights here. There is the Water Naga, which can cast some elemental spells against you, but for the most part, isn't too dangerous. The most annoying thing here is there are a lot of potential unrunnable encounters. You have the Sahagan Chief Prince battles, you have ghosts, and you have water elementals. But all three are fairly common fights you'll find in this dungeon, so that can be a significant time loss here. This dungeon's kind of split into two parts. You kind of work your way up into the middle of it, which is where we're at right now, and then it splits into two paths, one going up, one going down. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go up to the very top of the dungeon to get a plot item called the Rosetta Stone, which we will need as part of a quest to enter the next dungeon. And Leonis run across some ghosts here. He's just going to go ahead and attack them because he cannot run from this battle. Same thing as a single water elemental, just attack it instead of using a judgment staff. So this floor of the Sunken Shrine has no enemies, and it's actually where you would go to rescue the mermaids. We're not going to rescue the mermaids. We don't care about them. We need the Rosetta Stone. We're saving the world, not a couple fish people. So we're going to pick up the Rosetta Stone, then we're going to use Teleport here for its non-world map use for just backing up 2 floors. So one aggravating thing in this dungeon is you do run across a lot of sea scorpions and cobras sometimes that can poison your party members, and just, that requires you to do an extra menu. And it's kind of aggravating, minor little time losses. So now we're working our way down to the bottom of the dungeon to fight the Fiend of Water, Kraken. And Leonis gets ambushed by the Sahagan Prince Chief encounter. So this is it wasn't an ambush, I'm sorry, it was just took a long time for his turn to come up. That's the thing with the Sahagans, they are very fast. But the Black Mage does get his Judgment Staff off. If anybody wants to see the Warmech fight, hopefully Leonis will run into it. If not, you can play the game yourself, and there actually is a floor in the Labyrinth of Time that consists of nothing but Warmech encounters. So Leonis is going to do one of our more complicated menus here in a moment. We're going to walk around the side of a chest to open it because there's a spike tile in front of it and we don't want to fight. And we're going to pick up an item called the Light Axe. We're going to change that into the Survival Vest, which is going to be our final set of armor for most of our characters. It gives us a very high chance of running. From here on out, failing to escape is not that common. So it really improves matters. Sometimes with nightmares can still be difficult. But we're also on the White Mage. We're only going to give her 1 survival vest because we're going to give her 2 Lordly Robes. The Lordly Robes are items that allow us to have higher magic stat on the White Mage, which will make her cast with the Judgment Staff more powerful for some of the later game groups of enemies that we can still wipe out in one shot just from her, though. But more importantly, it'll allow us to heal for more, which will be very important on the final boss fight. So Leonis is actually having a really good final floor here as he goes to fight Kraken. Kraken, in this version of the game, with all these glitches in the speedrun, is the least dangerous of our 4 fiends. He's pretty much a pushover. Waiting for this cutscene, we're gonna move on. It's hard to distract Leo at this point. He's actually in the cutscene right now. Alrighty, here he goes. So Leo's is now in the Waterfall Cavern. We're coming here for 2 items. One is a plot item called the Warp Cube that we have to have in order to beat the game, so there's no avoiding this place. And the other is the ribbon, which is going to give us kind of a unique equipment menu here in a little while. We just don't like this cavern that much. It's the last place where we have to worry about petrification and instant death attacks. But the main thing is it just has a very high encounter rate and a lot of nightmares, which are like the last enemy in the game that can be difficult to run from. So it's a frustrating place to be. So these Pyroliths are actually the most dangerous thing in here. They do have an instant death attack, and there is an encounter coming up that is a spike tile that can be like a 9 Pyrolith cockroaches ambush. So a lot of people like to save right in front of those doors so we don't get in trouble with it. And it looks like that is what Leo's going to do here. And so actually 8 Pyroliths and a King Mummy. If that was an ambush, that could have wiped his party. So we got the Warp Cube from the robot here, and from this chest right above him, we're going to pick up the ribbon. And then we're going to do a kind of unique glitch, because we want ribbon in all of our characters. The way we're going to do that is we're actually going to change the ribbon into a Gigantax on the warrior. And then we're going to change the Gigantax into ribbons, and we're going to put them in the shield slots. Now, you may have noticed our shield slot's been empty at this point. We can put whatever armor we want on there. Why haven't we been putting running equipment on the shield slot? Well, the reason is, if you are attacked with an item in your shield slot and you parry, so the shield works basically, it will play a parry animation. If there's not an animation attributed to the item you have in that slot, it can soft lock the game. Now, out of sheer luck, the ribbon actually has a parry animation. We don't know why, but we're not complaining. It actually works out really well. The ribbon does two things for us. Like pretty much all Final Fantasy games, the ribbon makes us immune to status ailments, which is really, really handy. But more importantly, it actually gives us a large elemental damage resistance, which we need for the final boss fight. So now we've taken the Rosetta Stone over to Dr. Une, who is going to teach us to speak Lufenian, which is a language so complicated you can learn it in 12 seconds. I'm going to warp out, and now we're going to go visit the village of Lufenian. Now, there's got a long walk to Lufenian, last really long walk of the game, and it can be frustrating. There are a very high chance of running to enemies called Minotaur zombies, which are unrunnable encounters. I mentioned earlier that we don't like forest tiles because they have a high encounter rate. You may notice there's a lot of forest here. But swamp tiles have a low encounter rate, so we're going to hit those quickly as possible. The other battle to watch out for is that one we just got away from, the Winter Wolves. If they ambush you with 9 Winter Wolves, they can cast a spell called Ice Storm. Their version of Ice Storm isn't as powerful as the version that you'll get from, say, White Dragons, but that just has a long animation time, and it can burn a lot of time and get 9 enemies casting spells. So that wasn't a great walk down to Lufenia. It wasn't terrible either, though. Here in Lufenia, there's several NPCs that can block your path. So there's 1, 2. Oh, this is a bad one. You just got to kind of suffer through it. There we go. Go talk to this guy so we can get the chime, which allows us to enter the Mirage Tower. We also picked up from that waterfall cavern the warp cube, which allows us to go from the Mirage Tower to the Flying Fortress. So, a lot of fetchy things in this game. And you really have that in lots of later Final Fantasy games as well. It just stands out a bit more in this older game that has less plot development, character development, cutscenes, kind of hiding the fetchiness of the game. Okay, so now Leonis is going to be going to the Mirage Tower. The Mirage Tower has a fairly high encounter rate, especially the second floor. So we're liable to see lots of encounters here. Fortunately, on the second floor, there's only 2 unrunnable encounters. One is the Blue Dragon, which is very rare, and one is the Single Vampire, which is even rarer, I think. The Single Vampire, as opposed to Group Vampire, is unrunnable because earlier in the game, the Single Vampire was a mini-boss, so it still has that flag on it that keeps you from running. That was actually a very good Mirage Tower section. Now, this Blue Dragon, we always fight. It's a spike tile. So when I said they're rare, that one's not. That one's always there. Now we're going to use the Warp Cube to go open the Flying Fortress. That was one of the best Mirage Towers I've ever seen, though. And now we're in the Flying Fortress, which also has a fairly high encounter rate. There's only one unrunnable encounter here, and this is it, the evil eye. Same enemy we fought earlier as our grind fight, and for the same reason, they're flagged as mini-bosses, which is why we're unable to run from it. Same reason with the Pisco Demons. Most of our unrunnable fights are because there's a spike tile or something somewhere that has them marked as mini-bosses so you can't run. And they just kind of apply that to the entire enemy formation anytime you run into it. So Leonis is getting a lot of encounters here, Flying Fortress. So it's kind of making up for that excellent Mirage Tower he had. So this fourth floor of the Flying Fortress is interesting. Basically, you need to go 2 squares vertical, 2 squares horizontal in any direction, any way you want to do it. This is can be kind of confusing. If you miscount, you can kind of get they're endless hallways. You can actually end up losing your position. And you'd think miscounting wouldn't be that difficult, but if you get a bad ambush or something, it can happen to you. So here on the 5th floor is where we have the chance to run into Warmac. We're hoping to see him. It's very rare. It's a 164 encounter and kind of a short hallway. But we do run into him. We do fight him because he has the highest experience of any enemy in the game. And in all my time running this game, I think I've run into Warmac once. And that's true for a lot of people. But Kibetha did run into Warmac during the... looks like he's actually going to try to get it for us. Did run into Warmac during the tournament. So Leo's going to try to get Warmac for the fans here. So you want to heal up for the Tiamat fight, typically because Tiamat has a chance of casting a spell called Thunderbolt that, if you don't have full hit points, can wipe your partner. But otherwise, he's a pretty easy fight. And now we have all 4 of the fiends of the elements defeated. That will give us the ability to travel back in time and fight them all again, along with Garland. So we're going to watch a little cutscene here, then we're going to go to the final dungeon of the game, where pretty much anything can happen. Yes, Tiamat is a female. I always get that wrong. I do apologize for my poor sensitivity there. Alright, so when you walk in the Chaos Shrine here is where the game started, and you have to come back here to finish it, and you see this cloaked character go over here and open a secret door. And you'd think to yourself, okay, playing casually, never played it before, that must be where I need to go to finish the game. That is not where you need to go to finish the game. If you do that, you're going to have a bad time, because that's a very long, very difficult bonus dungeon. This is Labyrinth of Time. Instead, you just go over to this crystal, activate it, and go back in time. Right, here in the Chaos Shrine, there's lots of unrunnable encounters. There are several encounters that can wipe your party, and it can give you a hard time sometimes. These white dragons in particular are very dangerous enemies. If they get an ambush on you and all 4 of them cast Ice Storm, you may not have the chance to get away or kill them all before they wipe you out. The dragon zombies here are unrunnable. These green dragons are also unrunnable, and they are powerful enough that you cannot Judgment Staff them, so you have to physically attack them. They also cast a spell called Poison Gas. While you don't get poisoned, it does do very high damage to your party. I say very high, probably in the 60s or 70s, but if you've been taking a lot of damage, haven't been healing, it can surprise you. So Leonis is not having a great second floor here. I guess third floor. It's hard to keep track of the floor counts in this dungeon. So the Death Eye here is a spike tile. Go ahead and fight it. Now play the loot that we got at the beginning from the princess. So we actually changed floors here, even though it looks identical. So this Ice Cake Winter Wolf is one of our least favorite encounters, because the only way to one-shot it is specifically the White Mage, because of the Judgment Staff being more powerful than the Lily Rose has to take it out, and the White Mage is our slowest character, so you had to wait for her to go. So now we're back on the first floor at the very top. This section has a very high chance of getting white dragons. So it's kind of a dangerous section if you get a bunch of them. So if we fail to run here, we can take a lot of damage. Go ahead and Judgment Staff the white dragons just to be safe. Things could have potentially gone bad enough with that failed run that all 4 of them could have cast Ice Storm, and then all 4 of them could have cast again before you had a chance to use the Judgment Staff. So running from the white dragons can be pretty risky sometimes. Now we've reached basement level 1 of the Chaos Shrine. We're going to do 1 floor for each of the 4 elements. So right now we're on the earth floor. The only unrunnable encounter here is the Earth Elemental, and so we're hoping not to see any of them so we can work our way down. And now we're going to start getting spike tiles that instead of having, basic enemies, they're going to have really difficult bosses. So we're healing up before we go to the spike tile. We're going to fight a new version of Lich, the first fiend we fought. But this is the 2,000-year younger, healthier version of Lich that has a chance of casting Flare. If he casts Flare, that will wipe out some of his party members most likely. So, Fire Floor is going pretty good for Leonis. The only unrunnable here is the Fire Elemental, and it's a very rare encounter. And now we're going to fight Merilith. Not very dangerous. She can cast Faraga, but that's not going to do enough damage to really be of any danger to the party at this point, now that we have those ribbons. So now we're on the water floor. The Kraken floor, for many runners, is the least favorite because it has a very high chance of getting water elementals, which are unrunnable. But also, this encounter right here is usually runnable pretty easily, but when it's an ambush, you get 9 enemies attacking you in one turn before you even get a chance to try to run. So. And speaking of the water elementals, there they are. So there's a group of 3, so we're physically attacking them. 3 enemies, we're pretty much always going to do a physical attack on a group. 4 enemies, it kind of depends whether or not you have the Judgment Staff queued up on a character already or not. The menuing time may not be worth it, even though it's technically faster to Judgment Staff them. Any more than 4, we're definitely going to use a Judgment Staff because we don't want to spend 2 turns fighting the enemies. So now we're at the second form of Kraken. Once again, the least dangerous of our 4 fiends. The next one we're going to fight is Tiamat. There's no unrunnable encounters on Tiamat's floor, but Tiamat himself, usually not dangerous, but he does have a higher hit point pool, and we actually had Zelnus a few weeks back just got really bad turn order against Kraken and against Tiamat too, and she did manage to wipe out Zelnus' party. It was very unexpected. So this is also going to be our first use of haste, most likely. So we're casting haste on the ninja. We're hoping the black mage goes before the ninja on that first turn. If he does, it guarantees a 2-cycle. And he actually casts haste on the warrior. That's unexpected. Alright, and Tiamat is down. So we've done our refight, so once we hit these stairs right here, we're done with everything with the final boss fight. And we are here. So we're going to go over here. We're going to do a final equipment glitch. We're going to... first, we're going to heal up, ether up on the white mage. We're going to use the gauntlets to glitch the golden staff on the white mage to make her have more magic. We're also going to remove the survival vest from her armor slot to slow her down some. We actually want her to go last every turn. That way she always goes after the damage received from Chaos. The reason we don't put the Lordly Robes on the armor slot is because they actually have a healing animation because they have the regen stats attached to them. So we're going to save, and here we go, fighting Chaos. So first thing we're doing is we're using those giant taunts we picked up earlier on our ninja and possibly on our black mage. Some people will choose not to when he has that many hit points. Looks like we went ahead and only giant taunted the ninja, which is most likely safe. The black mage can survive most things at 245 hit points. He has a little better magic defense. But you do want over about 300 on the ninja. So every turn, the white mage is going to be healing. For the first 3 turns, the black mage is going to be casting haste on the ninja, then the warrior, then himself. And the rest of the battle, everyone's going to attack except for the white mage, who is going to continue healing because of these high damage magic spells. So Tsunami is our first really powerful magic spell we're seeing used. Also has a long animation. It might kill the Black Mage. It does. Oh, Black Mage just survives. Unfortunately, Tsunami is frequently followed by Cyclone, which is his most powerful attack with the longest animation. And at 239 hit points, it'll be hard to survive that with the Black Mage. But we're at the point now if the Black Mage dies, we'll be okay. But Chaos does a physical attack anyway, so we should be good. Alright, and that is it. That was a textbook chaos fight. So good game, Leonis. And if Leonis would like to enter the Discord, say it as well for a quick interview about how things went today. Hey, hey.
Hey, hey.
Leo, congratulations. You know, that was not exactly what we were expecting with the
me neither.
with the unfortunate luck on Seiya's end. But even with that little playing around you did, trying to get that fight you over with the Warmech, you still had turned in a very respectable time for a race.
Yeah. I really wanted to try because some people were coming in my chat saying, "Oh, the Warming battle, we are requesting it over speed gaming." And I was like, I don't know. I could try, so I tried for like 1 or 2 encounters, but I couldn't afford to actually fool around, especially knowing what happened to Seiya. It was kind of being sort of almost unrespectful, so I just wanted to just proceed on and do the best I could.
Yeah, and that 1 in 64 encounter, I mean, that doesn't mean 64 encounters you'll run into them. You could spend 20 minutes trying to get it. So I think just trying a few times and moving on is the way to go. But otherwise, you had a fairly good race overall. You had a few scary moments.
Those
exactly
know the one you're talking about.
Yeah,
you're probably referring to the mind flayers inside the Citadel, right?
Yes, yes. I was not expecting you to get out of that one. Usually, when you
Me
get
neither.
paralocked by the mind flayers, that's it.
Yeah, I was already prepared to hit the reset, and I was like, oh, thankfully I had a save somewhere, even if it means like going all over again. And I was like, oh, I'm out, so why not?
Yeah. So, and as far as parallax go, there's also a fairly short one overall. So I think things could have gone a lot worse with that. But as always, it was great to watch you run. And you know, I personally am rooting for you because you're one of the racers that knocked me out of the tournament. So if you win, at least I can say it was only because I went against the best. Um,
Yeah,
but the
I'm
same
gonna
was actually
try.
true of Seiya. The same was actually true of Seiya though, because the two of you were the two that defeated me. So
And that was kind of symbolical of a match tonight because we were both originally from the Tiamat group phase.
mhm.
We already faced each other. He got the win on the very first match, and I was expecting just the scenario to just going all over again because he had such amazing times consecutively. And I asked in my chat if the gap was substantial or very, very far when it happened, and somebody said that it was pretty much not neck and neck, but it was quite close. So I was
Yes.
like, well, maybe I would have had some chances if it didn't happen, but we wouldn't know.
Yeah. It's just it was a real shame it ended like that. And actually, when I raced against Seiya a couple weeks ago, I got eliminated by not safety saving and getting petrified.
Mm,
So it was a little flashback for me, except the other way around.
yeah, I hope that's not the fate awaiting me. Like, you got petrified, Seiya won. Seiya got petrified, I won. I'm not intending to be petrified and letting someone else win.
Um, well, you do more safety saves than a lot of runners I've noticed. That actually saved you in a race against me a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Well, I also got told about the forfeit from Seiya, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna secure it. I was all over the place when I heard about it, and someone just said, just keep cool and do your thing, just play it safe. And I was like, safe? Save? Okay, going for it. Why
well,
not?
I really enjoyed watching this. I think everyone in the chat did too.
I hope. I really hope so.
And by the way, Nikki's been waving at you in chat a while, so you might want to give a shout out to Nikki and
Yeah.
Tabitha. uh, but really glad. Congratulations on your win. Congratulations to Seiya for having such an amazing tournament. His last
Yeah,
two races almost broke the world record.
I wish
It's
he would have been there in the vocals because, like a few days ago, I was having a sort of a private room for messages with him, and I was like, "Dude, you deserve to go until the very end of the tournament because of the times and because of the efforts you put into the run since you began to run. And even if it's my win, even if it's very not lucky but very fortunate for what happened, I'm kind of feel a bit sad because I think I'm stealing his win. But if I can just go on and bring that French vibe into the finals, why not? Because that was a French to French race, so
yeah. And that I guess what I've enjoyed about this community. We have actually a very international community for this game.
Mhm.
Uh, Many are dominated by Americans, and I'm glad to see that we have such a big European community in Final
Yeah,
Fantasy One. And just want to congratulate again. I mean, yes, there was a forfeit, but you were running really good. You absolutely deserved this win either way.
thank
I
you.
think Seiya would agree with you on that. Um, and unlucky things happen. That's kind of the beauty and the curse of Final Fantasy One.
That's true.
So let's take a quick look at the speed gaming calendar, see what we have coming up today. And it looks like at 7 Eastern, So that's about 2 hours from now. There's going to be another Ori and the Blind Forest race. But until then, we need to find someone to host. Does anyone have any ideas on who we should go ahead and raid right now?
I don't know. I mean, Cruel got hosted right after his match, so maybe changing to someone else. I don't know who's actually in it.
I'm looking at in our community. I'm not seeing anybody on the Discord as running any Final Fantasy 1 games right now.
No.
But
And I mean, from the participant, there's Fatman going onto FF8 PC any person derusting. He's probably trying to keep up to date with the game in case he's got to be going from backup to runner into the future FF Relay in April.
Yeah.
So that might be a good job for me. I don't know.
Yeah. I think let's go ahead and raid Fatman if we can. So I'm gonna type his name in the chat.
FAPMN.
Yeah. And what's our raid message gonna be? Let you pick that since you won this race.
I see someone saying in the Discord Team Leo to the end now, so why not hashtag Team Leo to the finals or something?
Okay. Team. How does
if anyone,
hashtag Team Leo? How's that work?
Crazy night.
Alrighty, so want to thank Feasel for restreaming for us today. Want to thank Speed Game for hosting us. Want to thank everybody for watching and allowing me to commentate here today. And I want to really thank the two of y'all for running a race. That was amazing.
Yeah. And thank you for your commentary. I think every time you're commentating a match I'm in, you might bring me luck, so I don't know if it's related or not. But yeah, thank you for your commitment. It's really
every time I've done one of these, someone's won the race. It's been nice.
Yeah, why not? I'm gonna take that.
All right.
But thank you for your commitment. It's good.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in, and y'all have yourselves a wonderful rest of your day.
See ya.